Good morning. This weekend we held our annual conference for the United Methodist Church in Oklahoma. This is our annual business meeting where we conduct all of the official business of the church. Typically, this meeting happens every year in May around Memorial Weekend, but this year, of course, because of COVID, like everything else, it was thrown off and we postponed it, hoping to be able to move it later in the year at a time when we would be able to gather safely. Of course, that hasn't happened. And so they made the decision to host our annual conference virtually this year. It all happened over Zoom and happened this weekend. On Friday afternoon, I was at home on my computer and I was watching the annual conference session. As part of our Friday afternoon session, we were voting on ordination of candidates for ministry. Every year, whenever new ordinands come to be ordained, they come and they answer several questions. These are the historic questions of the United Methodist Church. Questions that every Methodist minister, going back to the time of John Wesley, had to answer. As I was sitting there listening to them answer these questions, I was reflecting back on just a few years ago whenever I was asked these very same questions. There's about 19 questions in all that get asked, but the first 4 of those always jump out to me every year. They always ask, have you faith in Christ? Are you going on to perfection? Do you expect to be made perfect in love in this life? Now they go on and ask these questions about, are you earnestly striving after it? Now we have to understand what John Wesley and what we as Methodists mean by perfection. See, when we answer these questions, we always answer them in the affirmative. Yes, we do expect to be made perfect in love in this life. And yes, we are earnestly striving after it. Now, we're not saying that we are more righteous than anybody else. It's not a statement about how good we are or that we expect that we're not going to be making any mistakes in life. We certainly know that that's not the case. But what we understand by Christian perfection comes from John Wesley. John Wesley knew that we would make mistakes because sometimes we just don't know better. Sometimes we don't have all the information, all of the knowledge. And so sometimes we're going to make mistakes. For him, Christian perfection was about our motivations, our intentions. John Wesley believed that when our motivations are based out of love for God and love for our neighbor, that's really what perfection is all about. When everything that we say and do is based out of that intention. There may be still times where we hurt one another, not because we mean to, sometimes we just don't know better. Now, this is what we mean by Christian perfection. And so when we answer these questions every year, I am reminded of that answer that I gave that says, I am striving to love God, to love my neighbor, so that all of my decisions are based out of that. We're still going to make mistakes sometimes, but our intentions can be pure. You know, right now you and I are living in a time where we have to make decisions daily, decisions that affect not just ourselves, but our family members, those around us, our friends. We have to make decisions, and there's not always clear and right answers of what we ought to do. In those moments, I think it's helpful to go back and remember John Wesley's idea of Christian perfection, that we don't always have to make the right answers or the right decisions based out of all the information that we have. We don't have all knowledge. But as we begin to make our decisions about what is safe, what is right, we can make those based out of love. Sometimes when you and I don't know the right answers to everything, it's okay to show ourselves grace and to trust that our intentions are in the right place and that those around us have the right intentions as well. We're all trying to do the very best that we can. We may not always agree with one another on what the right decision is, but we can trust that our intentions are pure. Today's a new day. A new opportunity for us to answer those questions for ourselves. Have you faith in Christ? Are you going on to Christian perfection? Do you expect to be made perfect in love in this life? Are you earnestly striving after it? Today, as you and I go about making our decisions, we can make our decisions based out of love. And even when we don't always know what the right answer is, we can show ourselves grace, and we can begin to extend that same grace to one another as well. I hope you make it a great day.